Welcome to Very Honored Frater BT's Esoterinerd podcast, episode 6, where we interview Saori Nishi. But first, here's a flashback to September 7th, 2011. At the time, it had already been a thing that I would sometimes tell. You know how when you have a select group of people to where you are able to do a comedy routine to get that particular group of people roaring with laughter, but anyone outside of that group of people would just be like, huh? Just blank stares? Well, it's that kind of thing, but it's appropriate for this podcast. It's from Frater BT's decided to be modest and take out the VH for the blog, but I brought it back in for the podcast. The Esoterinerd Soapbox. It's the old blog. It's not that old. It's about 5 years old. I had already been doing all that stuff for 17 years by the time I started it. But you can find that. It's fraterfrancesco.blogspot.com. Wednesday, September 7th. Based on Jeff Foxworthy's You Might Be a Redneck. You might be an initiate. If you wear a Star of David necklace, but you're not Jewish, you might be an initiate. If you have ever used the word exoteric in a sentence, you might be an initiate. If you stay up all night painting something that you have no intention of ever showing to anyone, you might be an initiate. If you smile knowingly when people talk about the symbolism on the back of the dollar bill, you might be an initiate. If you've ever looked at the caduceus symbol on a doctor's office and thought, how appropriate, you might be an initiate. If you most often respond to the question, so how do you know each other, with, oh, you know, mutual friends, you might be an initiate. If you have a room at home that's always locked, and you tell people, oh, I just have a lot of personal things in there, you might be an initiate. If you have a dog named Anubis and a goatee, you might be an initiate. If you have to ask one of your closest friends to remind you what their earthly name is, you might be an initiate. If you've ever asked someone to please stop calling you Sorer at work, you might be an initiate. If you've ever accidentally called your priest brother, you might be an initiate. If you ask people for permission to pray for them, you might be an initiate. If the main reason why you want to go to the British Museum is to see the original Sigillium de Amet, you might be an initiate. And finally, if you are proficient at painting, woodworking, ancient languages, accounting, delegation, management, public speaking, and teaching, yet none of this is reflected on your resume, you just might be an initiate. When my wife, Honored Sorer FSM, and I were in Japan a couple months ago, we were in Osaka, and realized that I had a Facebook friend there. We had mutual friends in the Source family. I said I was in Osaka, and she said, welcome. And I said, what? You're here? Oh, wow. And so I said, is there anything I should definitely not miss while I'm here? And she said, you should definitely get on a train and go a few hours north and go to Mount Koyasan. And I did. And it was sort of a life-changing experience. And if you follow any of my other blogs, you've already heard me talk about it way too much. So I'm just going to stop right there and let her give us her experience of it. If you're interested in those other blogs, you can always go to edward-reeb.com/podcasts with an S. If you have trouble understanding some of the words in the interview, the conversation is written out completely on the website that is connected to this particular episode. And without further ado, let's get to that interview, shall we? Hi, Saori. Welcome to the Esoterinerd podcast. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the meaning of your name?
Okay, my name is Saori. It's made by 3 words. I mean, Sa and O and Ri. Saori, named by my grandfather. And every kind has various meanings. For me, to be elegant and clever.
Well, you are certainly both elegant and clever. And your surname, Nishida?
Well, my family name is also common in Japan. I'm not sure about the meaning, but I guess from kanji. Maybe it means the rice paddy of the West, because Nishi meaning West, and Da meaning rice paddy.
And that would make sense, considering Osaka is on the western side of Japan. Has your family always lived in Osaka?
Yes, we live there. My parents are born in Osaka and grew up. Me too.
What was it like the first time you went to Mount Koyasan?
Okay, my first visit to Koyasan is maybe when I was 3 or 4 years old. So I don't remember my first visit. After that, I grew up. I think I was a college student. I went to there and stayed at the temple. I can't remember why I want to go. Maybe I wanted to feel spiritual power. When I go out the small tunnel and enter the Koyasan, I feel super clean air. It includes spiritual meaning. Everything are beautiful. Deep green, woods, old cemetery, so calm. I think it was truly holy mountain, temple of the higher mind. Not fear, just something like pureness, kind of the origin of our mind.
We only went for about 3 hours, so as soon as we got to the mountaintop, we got on the bus, and of the 14 stops, we went to the one right at the heart of it, right at the oldest part of that sprawling cemetery where the famous samurai are buried, and saw that temple, and it was an incredibly beautiful experience. When you went, which temple did you go to specifically, and how long did you stay there?
I have stayed here 2 times, just 1 day for each. At first time, I stayed alone at Jofukuin Temple. That was very interesting temple. They had a shrine of Myanmar Buddhism. The other time, I stayed at Fukuchin Temple with my friends. They have a beautiful garden. It's made by Mirei Shigemori, who is a famous gardening artist. Every temple seems to be simple life. We get sleep early than usual, maybe 9 or 10 p.m. and get up early. And we can eat great vegetarian supper and breakfast in any temple. It is really good. And we can join in the worship in the early morning. I think it starts at 6 a.m. before the breakfast. The monks chant a Hanya Shinjo and they give up preaching for us. The altar of Shingon Temple are dark. It makes a mood much mysterious. I really recommend that experience.
Which temple was it where you got the CD that has the track on it that I now use for the intro and the outro to the Esoterinerd podcast?
I got that CD at my first temple, Jofukuin. The composer is son of that temple, I think.
I have to say, the gifts that you've given me that are now in my temple have really transformed the whole experience of being in there. It was primarily a Western ceremonial, Golden Dawn style temple that oddly had this Buddhist statue in the middle of it, but between the kimonos and the Hanya Shingyo banner that I have hanging on the double cubicle altar, you said your parents made that?
Well, my parents are interested in Japanese cultural history and research them. The tapestry what I gave you is the original works. They use Japanese traditional textile method. My father cut the template like Hanyu or gods, and my mother printing it by indigo. I mean bleaching the pattern. And we mentioned that it's not special item. I think it is a little different from kimono on your common image. Maybe kimono as your image is used for rich people. Indigo clothes are used as more daily stuff for every people. Some hip people enjoy what the color changed like vintage jeans. And it's made by cotton too. Expensive kimono made by silk.
And then there's the two banners that I have hanging in the east. What were the names of those hanging scrolls?
Oh yeah, we call it kakejiku or jiku. It usually hangs at alcove called tokonoma. It's special display place in Japanese room. Kakejiku have a various pattern of the earth. Sometimes Buddhist motif like yours. The others passage or writing of poems or quote. So many patterns.
Now there's the two that you gave me. The one on the right has the canon in the middle and the goshuins surrounding it, the temple seals from all the various temples in Japan. And then the other one, which I'm going to be putting up on the left, you mentioned had to do with Pure Land Buddhism, which was the religion of your ancestors. What can you tell me about that kakejiku?
I remember the second row had a big chant. Namu Amida Butsu. It is the name of Amitabha. I think it's pretty similar, Amen. My family religion are called Jodo Shinshu, beginning in over 800 years ago. It is one of the biggest Buddhist sects in Japan. The master, his name is Shinran, said that everyone allowed to go to the Pure Land, meaning like a heaven, after this, only with chant Namu Amida Butsu. Even if they are guilty, everyone permitted.
Would you mind demonstrating how that chant is performed so that I can do it, authentically?
Well, it has a variation. For example, before the ceremony, we just repeat it like this. Namandavs, 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 namandavs. Sometimes like a song in a hymn, like this. Namu Amida, Namu Ami.
Thank you very much. I will incorporate that into my practice. I will perform the second one on behalf of all beings, that everyone might be allowed back into the Pure Land, and I will do so in honor of your family. I was curious about something. When you were here and we did those rituals together in the temple, what was that like from your point of view?
I was very excited. It was so interesting experience for me. I had no idea I could join your work. Thank you so much. I already know the name of Golden Dawn before. Actually, I'm really interested in secret world. So when I was a teenager, I read some book about mystery and spiritual studies. While I was in your temple, I feel something like altered states in myself. I can't explain in words, but I think it's just mysterious experience. To the music that you sent to me, the strong bell sounds bring imagination for me like another world. I think that every way or religion has a pure desire as good meaning. I mean, to looking for the life on higher mind. It is a great spiritual journey for everyone. I think no matter what we believe, the important thing is how do I perform toward higher level.
When you and I first became friends on Facebook, it was because we had so many friends in the Source family, Jin Aquarian, Isis Aquarian, so on. How is it that you ended up having so many friends in the Source family?
Well, I have to say first, I had never met them except you and Jamie. I just their friends. At first, I find music of Waterfall 13 at the music store when I was a high school student. I liked their music very much and impressed their lyrics. I think Frodoyot and their family try to discover the truth of the world. They have a pure spirit. So they give me an opportunity of thinking about good things. I think they also want to be a higher level and search it. Therefore, they always give me a great imagination. I respect them.
I remember on the day that I met Isis Aquarian was also by coincidence the day that I met Jin Aquarian on the phone. And he had given me the name Pymander Aquarian, and then a few hours later I went downstairs from where I was working at the time at the Screen Actors Guild and met up with Isis, and there was a big open area where we had some privacy, so we sat in lotus position and talked about everything, and one of the things I mentioned was that Jin had given me the name Pymander Aquarian, and she had said that she felt that people should be able to choose their own names and proclaim themselves as members of the Source family. What about you, Saori? If you could choose your name, what name would you choose?
Oh wow, it's a very interesting question. Well, let me see. I think if I choose the name, I might choose Waterfall because it made a river, sometimes origin for the lifeline, and keep on moving.
Then it is my honor to be the first to greet you, Waterfall Aquarian. It also seems appropriate considering waterfalls are like artists in a way, sculpting the rock. And you are an artist and a sculptor. What was it you were saying the other day about feeling like a serial killer washing bones off in the sink?
I used some bones for my artworks from a year ago. Some people think that I am crazy, but I don't think so. It is just my leftovers. I eat chicken or pork. We can't eat bones. So I try to use it as a recycle. It can be my meal recording. And I need a many process to remake it. And it's easy to correction, especially in the summer. So I washing bad smell bones in that process. For me, it makes me mad. Sometimes I think about that mind of psycho killer. I mean, they might wash something in the bathroom like me. I don't know that they have some process or not. And I should say I don't make it. I just modeling them. Because bones are made by great nature. The nature beauty is most beautiful in the world. I think we have to respect creativity of the universe.
Excellent. So the pieces that you're working on now, are they going to be on display in a gallery soon?
Yes, I have a small exhibition at Osaka in October. It will be the first time to display the bronze work.
Very cool. So if anyone listening is going to be in or near Osaka in October of 2015, look up Saori. I'll post a link to her Facebook page. What can you tell us about candle making?
Yeah, also I make candles. Sometimes for daily stuff, sometimes as artworks. It will display in October too. For me, my purpose to make a candle is very personal. I put my passion in it. When someone lights a fire, it means that my imagination will be released. The candles are pretty similar to life, burn and despair. Sometimes slowly, the other time fast.
That is true. You mentioned also about how in Japanese tradition you don't smell incense, but you listen to incense.
Yes, I think it's very interesting expression. In Japan, there is top 3 traditional art ceremony culture. It's Sado, Kado, Kodo. Sado is a tea ceremony. Kado is decoration of flower. And Kodo is ceremony of incense. In Kodo, sniffing of the incense is expressed as listening to the incense. And as such, it is called monko because of much elegant word. They enjoy the various incenses aroma in a ceremony. Sometimes they play a game which defines aroma in various incense.
Do you happen to remember the Japanese word for the dorja, the lightning bolt symbol that Kukai holds in the statues, and that all the monks in the Shingon, when they pass away, they have their little Buddha statue in the mausoleum holding the dorja? Was the word Kongo?
You are right. It's called Kongo show. I think it's same Bajira that used as Tibet Buddhism.
And then when I mentioned the document written by Eihei Dogen called Fukan Zazengi, you said you remembered it as a chant.
Oh yeah, I remember that you told me about Dogen. Dogen is master of Zen sect in Buddhism at Soto Shu. I don't know deeply about the sect, but Fukan Zazengi is very famous hymn. I remember the monks chant that sentence after the work of Zazen. Maybe usually at night work. I think it needs a long time to chant all. Maybe it takes about 50 minutes. I can read the first part. Fukan Zazengi like this. Fukan Zazengi Tazunuru ni sore dou moto enzu Ikadeka shushou o karan.
Which I know by its English translation. The way is basically perfect and all-pervading. So what is the use of practice and realization? Thank you, Saori. And thank you so much for speaking with me today on the Esoterinerd podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad to talking and sharing with you. And if I was a monk in the temple, I should say, Yokoso omari kudasaimashita. Its meaning, thank you for coming to pray. I'm looking forward to meeting you again. Peace to you. Sayonara.
Yokoso umari kudasaimashita. Sayonara. Thank you, Camille and Kennerly, for the lovely Game of Thrones harp transition. It occurred to me there was all this talk of the Hanya Shingyo, and yet we never demonstrated how it sounds. And so, I thought I might close with a bit of a treat. The following was recorded at Zojo-ji Temple in Tokyo, right near Tokyo Tower. The Hanya Shingyo is actually known for, among other things, being very brief, so they recite it several times in this recording, while the taiko drummer... Well, I'll just let you experience it. For now, I would simply ask that you Bow your head slightly. Close your eyes, unless you're driving, obviously. Bring your attention to your third eye. Bring your hands together at your sternum and solar plexus. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us, and to the spirits below. We send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night.